Well, hello guys, and how y'all doing? And yeah, I've been pushing this off for like 4 days now. I mean, yes, Easter was part of it. Easter kind of not it threw a wrench in everything, but also I'm just terrible. Since I've been watching anime. Yep, I'm fucking terrible. But here we are back again with the Falcon in the Winter Soldier. And it's another, this time we've got the Power Broker. And it's another good episode. I don't know. Part of the reason I've been pushing this off is that, well, I think it's a good episode. I don't really have strong feelings for it in either direction. Like I don't really have anything like, yeah, I don't have any like strong opinions on it, any big things. It's just it's an episode and it advances the plot along. I mean, they brought back Zemo, and Zemo, I was worried last week that like, hey, are they, because Zemo's one of my favorite MCU villains, and I was like, oh, he's so cool. How are they gonna do it? Are they actually gonna be able to like keep the character as what it was? Or are they gonna kind of ruin it? Right? I was worried about that. And then here we come, and no, I think they did a pretty decent job with it all around. I think Zemo is handled pretty well. They take him in a direction I wasn't expecting. Cause yeah, no, the trailers didn't give any of this away. And even when I thought they were gonna twist it, nope, they didn't twist it. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of potential here, and we've got 3 episodes left, I think. Yeah, this is the third. So they could go any number of ways. I mean, there's so much potential here, and yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's a good episode. I just don't have strong feelings about it. So the episode starts with Bucky visiting Zemo in prison, and Bucky's like, "Hey, I just want to talk to him." So Stan waits outside. Bucky goes in, he tries to use the numbers on him, the code. It doesn't work anymore, but hey, things have changed, right? And Bucky wants information from Zemo, but Zemo doesn't want to give him anything. But he's like, hey, maybe we can work together. Because one of the things I would like, I've seen people like, hey, what if Carly and the other Flag Smashers were like funded by Zemo or whatever? But that kind of goes against his entire thing. Like, there's a reason he kills the 5 super soldiers in Siberia. So of course, he'd want to get rid of these new super soldiers because he has no interest in them, right? He doesn't want any more super soldiers. He doesn't want any more Avengers. And I'm sure that will come into complication later. For the moment here, where they're going with this, I think actually makes sense. The enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing. And so Zemo breaks out of prison. I am unsure if he was always planning on breaking out of prison, like he could do it at any moment, or if Bucky helped him break out. Admittedly, I don't know. Part of me wants to lean towards the first one, that he just broke out on his own, that he had this plan to escape the whole time, because they're not even there when he breaks out. But I'm kind of a little bit unsure about it. I don't know. I probably should have watched the episode again today just to like double check it. But yeah, so he breaks out of prison. Sam is, of course, completely against it. But it's like, we need him. He knows Hydra. He's been through all the Hydra files. He's broken out of prison. Sam's against it. But they have to work together, right? Because they're the only way. That's the only way they're going to find Carly and the others. Because Walker has no idea. Walker breaks into Carly was hiding out in the place in the last episode, and Walker breaks in there, and they're of course not there, and the guy won't tell him anything. Because of course, right? They're not going to get any information. And so they cannot find Carly, so it's like, oh well, now we've got right, if we don't have a winning hand, maybe we should start rooting for someone who does. Obviously, that's Sam and Bucky. This episode starts off with like a little promo video for the GRC, which I'm kind of expecting to like be the villains or something like that. Like if we find out the GRC is backed by the power broker, I would in no way be surprised, right? That there's some sort of like twist there. Because yeah, they're starting off at a GRC camp and they're trying to save Mama something. But she, because she has tuberculosis and they're unable to save her, so she passes away. And that's kind, and that, again, it does a great job at humanizing Carly, that she's not a bad guy. We see her influences, we see what motivates her, and that she sees these atrocities in the world and she just wants to do better by them. Her methods may not always be great, as we see her falling towards the dark side. They have to work together with Zemo. And I think them working together with Zemo was not what I expected, like at all. But I think it's a good dynamic. I think that adds, because it makes sense, right? The enemy of my enemy. But yeah, it just adds this whole new level to things that I'm actually totally down for. And they don't fully trust Zemo, and Zemo doesn't fully trust them either. And I think that's a good thing. Like there are several moments where like Zemo's like, did you ever visit the memorial for the people who died in Sokovia? Sokovia doesn't even exist anymore. It was engulfed by surrounding nations. Right? He brings up some good points about like the Avengers just don't care. And that was great. That's great in Civil War, right? Because he brings those up in Civil War. And even though he's working with them, he's not willing to let them forget. Zemo has them go to Madripoor. He's basically pretending like he's taking control of the Winter Soldier, and he has Sam playing, I don't remember the character's name, but he has Sam in disguise as well. And also we find out Zemo, because it's Baron Zemo, and we find out that yeah, he is a baron and that he actually comes from money, that he is rich. Because a lot of one of the things that I really like about how they do Zemo in this episode, because someone's made a joke about how like, oh, Loki, Ultron, Thanos, all of these great villains couldn't take down the Avengers, but the guy that does this was able to, even though he kind of fails. It's a little gray, because technically he beats Iron Man, but he doesn't beat Captain America, so it's kind of iffy. But yeah, no, that's kind of a good point, because Zemo stays back a lot of this. Like whenever the fights happen, he has Bucky or Sam take over, and he's like playing a character. And I know acting, right? But you know what I mean. Because Zemo is like Sokovian special ops or whatever. He's military. But in this episode, yeah, he, besides for one scene, he doesn't really fight. He plays more passive and has everyone else do his work for him, which shapes perception of him. And I think, again, that's just a really interesting aspect to the character. In this bar in Madripoor, which is some made up, because comic books make up places, Sokovia, Wakanda, and now Madripoor. So it's just some made up island in the South Pacific or something like that. And it's the scum of hive and villainy or whatever. That one side of the island, oh, it's like a fun touristy spot. But then the other side is this terrible place run by the power broker. And they're going into the bar because they want to talk, because they're trying to get information on where Carly is and how the super soldier serum was made, right? Because they know that, they find out because they go to the bar and Sam drinks the eel shot, which is, yeah, that got a laugh out of me. Okay, Sam plays a great straight man to all of this, kind of like Clint in the second Avengers, right? Where you just need that straight man who can kind of point out like, hey, this is all bullshit. And yeah, he does a good job at that here. Because in the Winter Soldier, he's pretending, right, to be the Winter Soldier, and he beats some guys up in the bar, and eventually they get to see Selby. I think it's Selby. They get to see her, and she's like, yeah, it was created by basically Zemo offers the Winter Soldier, and this is where they find out the super soldier serum was created by someone called Nagel, and they have to find him, but Selby won't tell them anymore. And then Selby gets killed, and they think that, oh, because they figure, oh, because Sam gets a call from his sister, and he's like trying to play it off like, oh, hey, we're talking about the boat and how the bank fucked me over. And at the last moment, the sister mentions Sam, and that sends them off. And then, yeah, Selby gets killed by somebody. We don't know who. They get framed. Now everyone in Madripoor is looking for them. They run away, and hey, they bump into Sharon. Hey! And yeah, and it is like, right, like they basically hinted in the last episode. While all the Avengers got pardoned, while Sam is working back with the government, Bucky's back as he's technically supposed to be a civilian, but he's back with the government. No, Sharon never is still wanted by the US government, as she's been excommunicated and everything. And so she's been hiding out in Madripoor selling artwork. Because, half the stuff in museums is fake, and oh, all the real stuff is here. Oh, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I'm not going to get into art brokering. But yeah, so they meet up with Sharon, and at first they're hostile, and Sharon's got a good point, because they did screw her over, but Sam is like, hey, we'll get you that pardon. If you help us out here and help us find this Nagel, we'll get you the pardon. And they agree. And of course, it's the irony of them working with Zemo again. Like a little party thing where she's trying to sell art and get information. And I think this is where we see Zemo do the thing. And it's the image that's just so fucking funny. It's dumb as hell. But I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, Sharon has definitely taken on an interesting dynamic here, because she's helping them out, but yeah, and I get what she wants, and there is suspicion. I guess I should address this now. There is suspicion because the episode's called The Power Broker, but at no point do we ever actually meet the Power Broker. So there is suspicion that hey, what if Sharon is the Power Broker? That she's playing them into her hands. I personally don't think so. I see where that suspicion's coming from, and it would be an interesting dynamic, especially, that makes her antagonistic towards them, and that would, because we've already got Zemo playing the good guy, and he's the villain, so what if we have the good guy playing a villain, with Sharon being the power broker? That's definitely it's an interesting twist, and I could see the potential here. I don't know if that's where they're gonna go with it. There's one thing that happens here in a minute that I'm like, if this is all what's going on, no, I don't think she is, because she figures out that where the power broker is. They go to the shipment container, and there's a secret door in it, and hey, they meet Nagel. And Nagel is the scientist. He tells them about Isaiah, that through the extract of Isaiah's blood, he was able to isolate the super soldier serum. He was able to create 20 vials. He was originally working on this before the snap. And now that the snaps happened, he was snapped for 5 years. When he came back, they no longer wanted to develop the super soldier serum. And then also Hydra falling apart in there because he was former Hydra. But now he's back, and the power broker is like, yeah, we'll do your super soldier serum. So he's created 20 vials. Carly has stolen all of them, basically. And yeah, there's now 7 enhanced because one of them is dead. And we cut back to Carly around here somewheres. So we find out all that from him, that there are no more vials, that he was able to do it, but they were stolen. And then Zemo kills Nagel. So now he's dead, so no one can make any more super soldier serum. And then the storage containers blow up. They all manage to survive. Sharon's been outside fighting bounty hunters who are trying to get to them. And what I want to say is that the death of Nagel makes me think that Sharon isn't the power broker. Unless that wasn't the real Nagel, but I kind of doubt it, because I know Carly also says that Nagel was killed, and we find out where through Nagel, because Carly contacted Nagel, and it was through him that they know Carly's at one of the GRC camps or something like that, but I don't think they know exactly where. they just know they have a better idea of where she is. It's Nagel's death that makes me think that no, if Sharon was the power broker, she would want Nagel to make more super soldier serum or whatever. Why would she let Nagel die? If it is, they might have some complicated reason, like Nagel actually gave the serum to Carly and was refusing to make more. And right, there's this whole level of espionage behind things, and that's why she had them. I mean, Zemo does as he does, because again, he's still our villain at the end of the day. But yeah, that makes me the whole leading them to Nagel and getting Nagel killed is what makes me think that no, Sharon's not the power broker. She gives them a lot, and that would make me think. But the fact that he dies, like, that seems pretty disadvantaged to the power broker, because now everyone's on their shit list. And also at this point, after the storage container blows up in the lab and all that, Zemo puts on the mask, and I was like, oh, he's gonna run away. Right, this is finally his moment. He's going to betray all our heroes, and he's going to get away from them, and then he's going to go after Carly himself, because he's got the information he needs to track them. So now it's going to be a three between Walker, Sam, and Bucky, and Zemo, whoever gets to Carly first, and whoever can get the super soldier serum. Because Walker wants that shit. Sam will probably take it. And yeah, and Zemo will maybe take it himself just so that he can get rid of all the others. Or maybe he'll just destroy them all and kill all of them. I don't know. I that's what I was expecting to happen in this moment. And because Zemo, right, he's military. And throughout this, he's been acting not. He's been playing more informant than anything else. And in this moment, he comes out, he puts on the mask, which I know people wanted, and he kicks some ass. And then he gets a car and pulls up and goes away with them. Nope, he doesn't betray them in this moment. Like, it would seem so obvious for them to do. Nope. No, Zemo still I mean, maybe because I'm expecting Zemo to betray them at some point or another. Like, come on, obviously. Because he still doesn't like the Avengers. And like I said, he points out that the Avengers don't care about Sokovia. They don't care about the people who died. And it's all a fair point. He is totally right. And yeah, both in those moments are good. But yeah, no, Zemo gets a car from one of the storage containers and they drive off with it. They ask Sharon to come with them and she's like, nah, I can't go back to the States yet. Just get me that pardon. They head out. Meanwhile, we see Carly. She breaks into a place. There's a moment about like, oh, how we should have all been here. Right, where they're watching out, they're staking out a place, and oh, how we all should have been here, but now we have the power to fight back. This is where they find out Nagel died, and it's like we have control over all the super soldier serum. I think did they say they have 8 more vials? I don't remember. I know there were 8 super soldiers, and one of them was killed by the power broker in the previous episode, or someone working for them. Yeah, so Carly's staking out the building. Eventually, they break in. And it's like, oh, you have 6 months of supplies just sitting here in this building, not doing anything. We're going to take it and give it to the people. Again, Robin Hood. I think Carly is a really interesting antagonist right now. Because, yeah, her motivations are pure, and all things considered. It's just her methods, because after they leave, she blows up the building. No witnesses. She's dipping into that darker shit. And right, because giving from the rich and giving to the poor, yeah, but her killing all the people is bad. So is she gonna fall to the dark side to do what she wants, especially now that she's lost several people actually to this, but they know what they're all in for. I think Carly has a lot of potential here, and I just hope they do something interesting with her. I mean, so far, I like what's here, but yeah, I hope they keep going in this direction, because I think it's a good direction. I mean, I want her to like, because like Carly herself is like, yeah, let's blow up the building, but the person she's working with is like, are you sure about this? So there is definitely, the Flag Smashers definitely have this moral gray aptitude that I want them to develop. I think it's one of the more interesting things the show has going for it. That what they can do with Carly, and where we have Sam and John Walker's differing ideologies on how to deal with her. I feel like that has the greatest potential. Also, at some point, Walker shows up in Berlin where Zemo was held, and is like, "You think?" And Battlestar asked, like, "Do you think they busted him out?" And it's like, "It's not a coincidence. Something's got to be up with them." Sam decides that he's gonna steal back the shield from Walker, right? That fuck John Walker. It's finally time we take back the shield. So that's probably gonna happen next episode, or it's gonna happen sooner rather than later. I don't think they're gonna hold off the whole John Walker thing until the very end. I think he's gonna get it back sooner rather than later. But they arrive at a hotel. Bucky says he's gonna go for a walk. He finds like these orbs, and then it's one of the Dara Milaje from Wakanda. Because obviously Zemo is still killed King T'Chaka, and because Zemo's killed a lot of people. So of course they still want Zemo. They still want to see him in prison. And yeah, that's another thing right there. How are they going to deal with Wakanda wanting Zemo back? Because obviously he still needs to face punishment, but they need him. They need him, presumably, and he's going to betray them at some point. And that just adds in a whole new element. I'll admit, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of different threads right now in this show. There's 3 more episodes, so that's still plenty of time to wrap all this up. But I will say, as of this moment, a lot's going on. And some big moves are going to have to start happening here. Not just to wrap them up, but I also like bringing in, I want to say her name's Aoe? I don't know, she's one of the Dora Milaje, but like bringing her in now makes things all the more complicated. And it's like, I want this to get, because I like this, and I think this is a really interesting dynamic. And of course, I want to see this developed. I want to see them do something with this. But like, if that's just one more person and one more wire to crisscross with. And I don't know, I worry that they're going to have too many balls in the air, and how are we, because I know the MCU is a universe, right? Not everything has to be wrapped up in one, in a normal thing, everything needs to be wrapped up in one thing. But now with the MCU being the way it is, things can be set up in one thing and be finished in another thing, right? Look at WandaVision. She's now learning magic, and that's probably going to be, that's the end of her character arc in that show. And it's probably going to be where we go in Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness or whatever. And yeah, same here. Like if Zemo at the end of this is still free, he betrays them. Maybe Sam gets the super soldier serum, and then Zemo runs away. They can totally bring him back for a future movie. And all this potential is still there. It's all still up in the air. Just when are we going to see Captain America's moon base? Because that might also be something they have to wrap up in this show. They don't have to, obviously. I think where it ended in Endgame was perfectly fine. But if they do, they totally can. But yeah, that's the episode. I think it's a good episode. I like Zemo. I like seeing Zemo again. Seeing Sharon again was also really cool. And their new dynamics as basically not switching exactly, because Sharon's still helping them. She's just taken on a different role, and Zemo's helping them out now. But, he's still Zemo, and I still expect him to betray them. I'd be disappointed if he doesn't. Even though, I don't know, I feel like there is potential in a villain who, like, gets locked away in prison and is like, I can't... and it's like this cosmic thing where it's like, after seeing Thanos, it's like the universe has a decision-making, right? The Living Tribunal picks who loses and who wins. So even though Zemo is right about the Avengers, right, not giving a shit, at the same time, the universe has decided the Avengers win. So if I work with the Avengers, maybe I can win, right? Like, I'm not a good guy, but if I pretend to be an Avenger, maybe I could win. I don't know. There's a whole element to that because I don't expect them to go into, but it's just another meta thing that could totally be addressed, kind of like that bullshit I was talking about with John Walker last time, which John Walker is definitely much more villainous in this, and I expect it to go that way. Yeah, especially after, like, he only gets like 2 scenes in this episode, but that's still what I expect. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We're halfway through it. We still have half the show to go. There's still so much more that could happen, honestly. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.